Hello and welcome to this episode of Simply Saturday, where I get to show you a card that is fast and easy to make. My name is Julie and this is Stamp with Julie Baum. Today's card we're going to be using these three colors: Evening Evergreen, Fresh Freesia, and Blackberry Bliss. But before we jump in, let me back up and tell you kind of why I'm using these colors. So as I was preparing for today's card, I went to my cardstock drawer and I realized that I had quite a bit of Blackberry Bliss cardstock. So I thought, great, let's jump in and use some of that. Now, we did use Blackberry Bliss this week at Stamp Club for one of our projects, and we were all reminded at really what a beautiful color it is. So I chose my color, and then I chose two colors that coordinate with it. So in this case, I chose Fresh Freesia and Evening Evergreen. So if you're following along today and you're making the same card or a similar card, start with your cardstock first, then choose two colors that look really good with it, and you'll be all set. All right. I also am using a stamp set that is out of the January to April mini catalog. This is 2023. And I want to pick stamps that are kind of smallish in size, and then also I need a word stamp. So this set is going to be perfect. I'm going to use this flower, the little speckle or splatter, these words, and then at the very end I did throw in the bee. So really you're only going to need 2 or 3 stamps to do this card, but I did throw in a fourth one, so you'll see that when that happens. At the end of the video, I'm going to show you 2 other cards designed the same way, but with different colors and different stamp sets. So let's jump in. My Blackberry Bliss cardstock is cut 4 1/4 inches by 11 inches. And often I will use this card size for a card base that opens like this. Today it's going to open this way, long and wide. Then I have 2 pieces of white cardstock. These measure 4 inches by 5 1/4. One is for stamping on. I'm going to stamp on that for the front. The other is for an inside panel. And then just before I started filming, I also die cut my circles. I have a white and a Blackberry Bliss, and these were cut using dies from the Layering Circles die set. Okay, so we're going to start stamping first. And because I'm using photopolymer stamps, I do want to put a little cushion underneath my cardstock. So I'm going to use my Stampin' Pierce mat. If you don't have a Stampin' Pierce mat, but you do find that you have trouble getting crisp and clear images with your photopolymer, just find something to put underneath your cardstock to give it a little cushion. That might be a couple layers of copy paper or a piece of cardboard that isn't too thick, just something to give a little bit of give when you press down your ink onto your cardstock. Then I'm also going to bring in a piece of scrap paper because I'm going to be stamping off of the edges of this cardstock, and I just would rather avoid getting ink all over the mat. Okay, so we're going to start with Blackberry Bliss ink. And my goal is to stamp an odd number of this image, probably 5 or 7. But what you'll see is I'm going to stamp, change the direction of my stamp, and move around the cardstock. So we're beginning to fill in this cardstock, almost making our own designer series paper is kind of the idea. So I'm leaving some spaces in between my images. I'm getting pretty close to how I want this to look. I think I'll just add another little bit right there. Okay, so we're going to stop with that, clean the stamp, because we're going to be changing colors. Now I'll be using Fresh Freesia and the same flower image. So I'm going to repeat in the same manner, stamping and turning the stamp, moving the stamp. I kind of want all different angles. So now, as you can see, I'm kind of filling in the biggest of the gaps. Let's see here. I'm kind of hesitant right here. I don't really want this to go in there. I'm going to leave it. We can always come back and add another one if we need to. All right, there's our flowers. Now the next thing I'm going to do is go with that little speckle stamp. And it is a very dark green. So what I'm going to do is pick up my ink, stamp on my scrap paper to take some of that dark ink off. And then I'm going to once and twice start stamping all over my piece of cardstock. Excuse me. I'm also turning the stamp often so that I can get a different set of speckles and you don't start to see a pattern emerge. I'm just going to put one big speckle right there in that place that I was a little bit concerned about, and I think we're going to find that that works just fine. So you'll notice that some of my speckles are going over the flowers, some are in between. There's not a lot of rhyme or reason when you're working with speckles, so that makes it really easy. Okay, I'm going to come back in here once and come over here, and we are going to stop with that. All right, there is our little background paper that we've created. All right, then I want to stamp on that white circle. So the first thing I'm going to do is stamp my words because I want to get those right in the place that I want them. So I'm going to use the Blackberry ink, Blackberry Bliss, and stamp in the middle of my circle. I'm going to add a fresh freesia flower, but only kind of like off to the edge right here. And then this is where I wanted to put the bee. So you wouldn't have to. Another option would be to just put another flower up here. That would be great. But I wanted to use the bee. I'm going to use the green ink, the Evening Evergreen. Of course, I would be kind of tempted to do a black bee, but to keep it simple, I'm staying with my colors that I've already chosen. So I'm going to put my bee right there. Okay, so we've got this piece, which is going to go on the front. Let's go ahead and attach that right now. I'm going to use liquid glue to do that. With the liquid glue, a little goes a long way. So I'm going to put a very thin bead around the edges and a squiggle down the middle. Using your liquid glue allows you a little bit of time if you need to slide that piece to get it lined up a little bit more even, which I did. I slid it just a teeny bit, but that looks straight around my edges. Okay, then we're going to take this piece. Oh, I had stamped on the back of that one. And attach it to my Blackberry Bliss circle. I must have been testing how that looked. Isn't that nice that the other side had stamping on it that I chose not to use? You just flip it over and stamp again. Then I'll use a couple of dimensionals. So I'm going to use 3 and just place them in kind of a triangular shape here. Removing the backings and getting that ready to place on the card. Okay, so that's going to go right here. All right, for super fast and easy with no embellishing, we are just about done. I'm going to put a stamp on this and attach it to the inside. And then I think we'll just take this one more step. Okay, I'm going to clean that fresh freesia ink off and go back to my Blackberry Bliss. And just put an image right here in the corner. and my mood is telling me to add a little bit of speckling even to that. Okay, there we go. So this is going to go on the inside. Like so. So we've got our front, our inside absolutely complete. It's very cute. This would be envelope ready and you can send to a friend. I would like to go ahead and add a couple of embellishments, so let's do that. And what I chose to do on this one is what I've used before, is kind of like a shabby chic knot. So what I did is I took 3 different twines or ribbons. So I have a garden green twine, which is going to be close enough to our evening evergreen. I have some white twine, and then I have some fresh freesia ribbon. So just short lengths, 6 inches or so. And I'm just going to line them up together and use these to tie a knot. If you've been watching my show, you've seen me do this a number of times. And I like how it adds a little bit of softness because it's ribbon, but it's just a little bit funky and it's not a bow. So this is going to go right here. I'm going to use a glue dot to secure that, so I can press my knot right into the glue dot and pull it off of the backing paper. Put this into place, and then with some sharp scissors trim those edges if they need it. And also, when you're trimming your shabby chic knot, you kind of want different lengths of ribbon because you don't want it to be uniform. So you can see that I've done that. All right, and it just softens it a little bit, adds a little frill, like so. And then I am really liking these pastel adhesive backed sequins, which are also in the mini catalog. And they are in balmy blue, petal pink, and gold. So for this particular card, the petal pink looks perfect. It goes really well with the fresh freesia. It kind of just goes with it. So on this one, I think here are my options. I can put a few sequins out and about, or I can just stay right in here on the tag, and that's kind of what I'm feeling right this minute. So I'm just going to put my sequin. Oh, there's like something on it. There we go. It just had like a little fuzz on it. I was afraid that it was ruined. All right, there we go. There's our sequin. There is our Simply Saturday card. Let me show you the other 2. Again, same process. Pick a color of cardstock. So in this case, I chose Bermuda Bay. And then to go with it, I chose Pool Party and... wait, let me remember. I'm going to turn it over and reveal it. Let me remember what the colors were. Pool Party and Bermuda Bay. Just those 2 colors and my white. So this was stamps. These are stamps from Happiness Abounds. I used this leaf and this little bundle of flowers. And as you can see, did the same process. Stamped those all over the front of the card, filled in with this. In this case, no speckles. And then there's my circle. Here's a little ribbon treatment and some sequins. And then I did another one in gray, pink, and white. So I started with basic gray cardstock. And then I used stamps from Hello Ladybug, which you would probably never guess just looking at this card, because I used none of the ladybugs. I used the flowers, the little dots, and the words, hello and my friend. And as you can see, I changed the direction of this card, And I did a little knot there with the gingham and the organdy sparkle ribbon. And it's got a little stamping on the inside as well. So I hope you are inspired to grab a stamp set, just 2 or 3 colors and maybe 3 stamps, and create something as fast and easy as this. Please do consider subscribing to my channel. I really appreciate those who do that and who faithfully follow and watch my videos. Also, below this video, if you click on the words that say "See More," the description box will open up and there will be a lot more information in there, including some links to a shopping site, some links to some of my favorite things on Amazon that I use with crafting, and also a host code in case you would like to place an order for any of the Stampin' Up! Products that you saw today. I will see you next time, and until then, happy stamping!